Minecraft controversies. There's been quite a few that's popped up over the many years this game has been around. Some are bigger than others, some are smaller than others, and some are just in between. But I figured going back in time and looking at some of Minecraft's controversial features, seeing why they were controversial, and seeing if they're controversial today. And let's start off with a really old one, sprinting. You can't really see Minecraft today without being able to sprint, but yeah, way back in the days when it was actually first introduced, this was very controversial. This is a feature that really split the community in half, but honestly, today, can you really see Minecraft without being able to sprint? I mean, can you imagine just having to walk around to actually get things done? Like, it'd take forever to get, like, literally anything done. Okay, that one had an easy answer. Let's move on to one that has a slightly more complicated answer. Back in the days of 1.9, the developers decided to change combat as a whole, being instead of just being able to swing willy-nilly, you now had to wait for a cooldown to happen now. And if you were around back then you would know that this was a very, very divisive situation. Some people loved the new combat, some people hated the new combat, and everyone else didn't exist because everyone either had one of those two opinions. And looking at it now, after years and years of it being in the game, I actually kind of like it. I actually kind of like having to think about what type of weapon or something you're going to have to use. But unfortunately, not everyone has that same opinion because obviously it is being changed again eventually. But something that won't change majorly anytime soon is actually the recipe book. Once again, another feature that was actually pretty controversial when it was first introduced. Now, I guess people just like the idea of just having to figure out how to craft things on their own, but also, like, you know, you get the reason why it was introduced in the first place, and honestly, can you, again, this is another feature which you can't really imagine going without these days in Minecraft. Like, especially with some of these recipes, like, who's gonna constantly remember how to make a stone cutter? I don't know, who's gonna constantly remember how to make an end crystal or something like that? Like, the recipe book is a lifesaver and a game changer, and there's a reason it was introduced, to make just crafting things that much more easy, not having to, you know, Google or Wiki or something like that. So I guess it's safe to say that the recipe book is a controversial less these days, if that even is a word. Speaking of words, you might remember that Notch posted some quite controversial things on Twitter a few years ago, which eventually had his name and pretty much everything related to him be scrubbed from the game itself. Now, I'm not here to say whether Notch's comments were good or bad, because if I'm honest, like, I don't really know what they are. I really should have looked them up before making this video. But I guess all I'll say on the matter is, I don't mind individuals, you know, voicing their opinions on various things, but in terms of companies, a little less in favor of that. But I guess that's a good transition into our next Minecraft controversy. The chat system, something that was introduced, like, honestly, just about a few months ago, and the reasons, I think, are justified, but the execution is really handled pretty poorly, and even though I've not seen any major instances of something bad happening to anyone, I still don't really like how they implemented it. But if you didn't hear what it was, basically, if you say something that's not quite so nice or not quite so, you know, legal or something like that, then your entire account on Java and Bedrock could be booted completely from Minecraft. And again, I've not seen any major instances of this happening, but I still will say that I think temporary suspensions are a whole lot better than permanent bans. Obviously, there are exceptions to that, but I think overall, people should be allowed to say what they want to say. But this next controversy really affected only a certain number of Minecraft players, which, when you really think about it, kind of affected the entire game. If you think about it, but that's porting Console Edition over to Bedrock Edition. Now, conceptually, this is a great idea. This was a really, really good idea. Having any player across almost any device being able to connect to each other was such a seller for Bedrock Edition. But then when we found out that a whole bunch of console features weren't immediately going to be ported over to Bedrock, being, say, exit without saving, flexible item frame placement, custom superflats, amplified worlds, so many of these other types of things, it kind of drew back on the excitement for a lot of people. Oh, and don't get me started on the bugs we see in the game, because Bedrock obviously, clearly has way more bugs than any other type of a Minecraft platform. But I will say, there's still potential for Bedrock Edition. It's still a great game. It's still a great, you know, platform to be on. I just think it could be a whole lot better. But now for another recent controversy, the Wild update. The update with chest boats, new packed mud, new mangrove planks, new mangrove biome, new skulk biome, the Warden, ancient cities, all of it wasn't wild enough, because obviously there were some misconceptions about what they showed at Minecraft Live to what was actually inside the game. Oh, you thought fireflies are going to be in the game? Yeah, think again. Oh, You like that birch forest concept? Yeah, not gonna happen. A lot of that happened inside the wild update, which honestly made it feel a whole lot less wild and more like, I don't know, something like false advertising, if you want to use that word. Now, it's not to say that any of these features, again, were bad. Like, all of these were great additions. I love making the most out of them. It's just, we were expecting a little bit more. We were expecting a little bit more for an update called the Wild Update, an update which, in the end, only added 2 biomes, 1 structure, and just a few blocks and mobs and things like that. And I have a feeling that I'm just missing a controversial feature or two around this one video, but I just can't remember them. I guess then that'll make this a controversial moment? Me not remembering all controversial moments? Well, if I did forget any other divisive moments, leave them down below in the comments, but for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.